for head coach Carrie Eighmey.
Jay, go ahead.
Hi, Carrie.
Jay, how's it going?
Great.
Good.
Obviously, kind of crunch time now. Last few games of the regular season, it looks like, if my math is correct, you lock up a top three with one more win, which you can do against Omaha on Thursday. Is that just kind of another step in the process of what you guys are shooting for?
Yeah, obviously with two weeks left in the regular season, it's a sprint now, and I think for us, obviously getting a top three seed is important. That hasn't really been part of our conversation necessarily, as much as just like, hey, we got to just lock in on whatever game's right in front of us and try to win that one. And we've had a good stretch here of the last couple of weeks, and we need to try to put together a couple more really strong weeks and see what happens.
You talked the other night after the Kansas City game about being good to see that it doesn't have to look good for this team to win. That being said, are you focused on certain aspects of there's been a few games here where it's been a little unclean in ways. So is that, kind of tidying some of those things up, kind of a big focus going into this last bit?
Yeah. This isn't a secret. We've had this conversation multiple times of just like our defense and our rebounding have been pretty consistent. The offensive end is kind of where, there's nights where we're scoring 70 plus, and then there's, some games where we've just struggled to find ways to score it. Obviously, we got to 70 the other night, but that took a little bit of overtime, and so I think just offensively trying to figure out, okay, how do we continue to refine and make sure that on the days when maybe Molly or Angie can't get going right away, what does that look like? And like we've talked about, we've had lots of different players step up and be able to get into the double digits for us on any given night. But at the same time, you don't want to get in a situation where you're kind of waiting for somebody to do that and nobody does. You know what I mean? So just continuing to refine our offense and try to find ways to continue to make it versatile and continue to make it difficult to defend. And I think, obviously defenses at this point in the season are better, I feel like, most teams continue to get better and better on the defensive end throughout the course of the season. And so your offense got to keep improving as well. And that's kind of been our focus here.
Looking ahead to this week, Omaha's obviously first. They've won a couple games here over the last couple of weeks. What are they doing that's better, that's allowed them to find the success that was kind of eluding them for a lot of this year?
I think their effort is consistent. For a team that's struggled the way they have in the first part of the conference season, a lot of times you might see a team like that just tank, and they definitely haven't. They're playing with the same energy and effort as they were in game one, and maybe even more energy and effort. So that's a ton of credit to their coach, and I think it's a team that, like I said, they don't back down, and they don't. That effort does not waver, regardless of the situation. And, they've won, I think, 2 out of their last 3, so I think I don't know that they've changed a lot in what they're doing on either end of the floor. I just think, 1, they've improved in it, and 2, they're still playing hard.
Then we look to Saturday, North Dakota State. Obviously, you were disappointed with the way that things went for you the first time around in Fargo. What has to specifically be done much better to give yourselves a chance to be the first team to knock them off?
Yeah, I think they're a very complete team. They're really good on both ends of the floor. I think for us, I think the first part of that was a little hard, and I don't think we responded very well to their physicality, to just how difficult they made things for us. I think it's a team that you've got to be able to find ways to slow them down. Their offense is so efficient that obviously everything goes through Kunin, but they've got 4 pieces around her at pretty much all times that are capable scorers. So, it's definitely a challenge. But I think it starts for us with just understanding that if you're going to beat them, you better be in for, it's going to be really, really difficult. And that's got to be the mindset that, it's every single possession would matter. And, it's going to be an absolute battle.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yep. Thanks, Jay.
Trey, go ahead.
All right. Coach, obviously with 4 regular season games remaining, just how important is this final stretch for your team as you look to kind of build some momentum heading into the Summer League tournament?
Yeah, I mean, obviously as important of a stretch as any stretch has been. It's an interesting time of year because I think, you go through January and it's such a grind, and then you kind of get through those first couple weeks of February, and now it's getting close to March, and I think players can see the light at the end of what's happening, and you hope that's super motivating, and you hope that they're able to just kind of continue to lock in and finish what they started. And so for us, we've got 2 games at home to finish the year this week. And then obviously we're on the road for the last 2 games of the season. So, it's definitely the mindset has to be taking advantage of the opportunity to play these games at home this week and then be able to finish strong on the road. Obviously we're coming off of a bye, so just want to make sure that we're sharp and that we get some good practices in here to prepare for the week ahead.
Yeah, and you're in a strong position, as a likely top 3 seed for the tournament. How significant is it to try to hold on to that number 2 spot ahead of SDSU as opposed to maybe potentially sliding down to that number 3 spot?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to have a top 2 spot is important. You get a bye and a little extra rest maybe, but for us, obviously we'd love to be the 2 seed. We can only control what we can control. So we got to lock in on doing our job and making sure that we do everything we can do to put ourselves in that position. And that's the thing about standings is there's a lot of things that happen that you can't control. So you got to focus on what you can.
Yeah, and you play, Omaha on Thursday before facing top seed North Dakota State on Saturday, like you mentioned. Just how do you balance preparing your players for a team at the bottom of the standings while also knowing you have just such a major matchup looming the next 2 days?
Yeah, I mean, I think for our team over the last couple of weeks, it's become a very real thing for them to know that it doesn't matter where teams are in the standings. Games have been difficult. We've had kind of 3 close games in a row here, with some of those teams being not necessarily towards the top of the league. So hopefully our team is very, it's very fresh for them that every game is going to be a game. And, I think for us right now, it's, to like you were saying, to get to those top 3 seeds, we got to do our job and we got to take care of the game that's in front of us. And, I think that's got to be the message for our team.
Yeah, just last one for me. Saturday's game against NDSU is also Senior Day and a chance to respond after their earlier significant loss. Just how important is that opportunity, both emotionally and competitively, for your seniors and for your team as a whole heading into the final stretch before that conference tournament begins too?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously what's unique about our seniors is all of them have just been here for 1 year, and I think this place has made a huge impression on them in that 1 year. And so I think it will be emotional. Also, too, like we talked about a little bit ago, I don't think that our team feels very good about the way we performed against NDSU the first time. And again, that's a lot of credit to NDSU. They were ready to go and they played really well. But so I think the motivation's there. Obviously, to be able to play a game like that on senior day is a neat experience, and I think our players will be excited about it and locked in for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Adam, how are you?
Coach, with this 5-game winning streak happening, and then the last game you're able to get a win in overtime, and with the concept of going to overtime, that means it was a close game. How do you think it felt for the players to be in a game like that was close and involved a little bit of a comeback effort to get a win in a game like that going forward for the season?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been in a overtime situation this season, so I think anytime you get in those types of games, I think it's important because you have to think possession basketball. You have to think late game situations. You got to be able to execute, and we definitely didn't do it perfectly. And there were some teaching moments, some learning moments in those last few minutes in regulation and overtime. And I also think for our team though, it's like I said, it's even though it's uncomfortable to be in those situations, I think it's good. I think it's helpful. Definitely as you kind of move into, March, situational basketball becomes a real thing and really important in postseason play as well.
And from experience learning life with girls in practice during games and just everyday life with them, how would you say they kind of feel about being on this 5-game win streak?
I think this team's, again, led by our seniors who have a very limited amount of time of college basketball left. I think they're enjoying it. I think they're doing a good job of being intentional about not just focusing on the prep and the work, but also intentional about soaking it all up and really enjoying their teammates and the experiences that they're having, and which is fun to see as a coach. Obviously, the work is the work, and you can't cheat that process, and it takes a lot from a preparation standpoint and from being out on the court and practices and those types of things. But this is a group, they enjoy each other, and they like I said, they're just doing a really good job of doing both, soaking it in and doing the work to make sure they're ready to play.
All right, if that's everything.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Got